And we are back. Organizing to be united and resilient, known as Our Place, is making significant strides in strengthening family support as well as community engagement. The center serves as a beacon of hope, offering a warm and inviting space where neighbors connect, contribute, and support one another. We are pleased now to be joined by the Senior Director of Community Leadership Program at Graham Windham, Dr. Emily Lopez, and owner of the Kiki Boutique, Chamaine Lopez. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hello.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
So great work that you're doing, in really enriching the community, if you will. We were just talking about refugees and how their lives are being, enriched. For you, enrichment in a different kind of way. Explain.
So our approach is really to support the family, and it's a really important piece of making sure that we are providing for the entire family. So in order to support children, we have to support families, and that's really the foundation of the work that we do at Our Place.
Yeah, and that wraparound service that you provide for families, share.
So it's not necessarily wraparound, it's more of an approach to reduce isolation for communities. What happens is that we have services for children, services for adults, it's all compartmentalized. At Our Place, what we do is that we provide for the entire family. So whatever that looks like, and we provide help that's helpful. And what that means for us is that we have conversations with the community members. They tell us what's helpful to them, not we create something so that we think it's helpful to them. So that's important. That is really the foundation of the work. And so, looking at all of the ways that we can do that is always interesting. Something from having a simple cup of coffee. So you can come into the center, have a cup of coffee, have tea. You don't need to speak to anyone at the center to ask for anything. You can plug in your phone because your phone just went dead and you have to go to another agency and you don't want to talk to anybody. That is okay too. So that's the home-like environment where you don't have to fill out an application. You don't have to answer a lot of questions to get the support that you find that you will need from us.
Yeah. Chamaine, a little bit about your work.
So I am a custom fashion designer, innovative. I have been designing now for about 7 years, self-employed for about 5 now. And I came across the FEC Center because the community wanted to sew. And I now teach sewing classes. So I came on board with the FEC, and it's been great to see how the actual course is helping families come together. What excites me is right now we don't have children due to the mechanical side of dealing with a sewing machine and needles and scissors, but we are bringing in a lot of men and women. And a lot of times when you think of sewing, you always think of maybe like a woman sewing, even though there's a difference from a seamstress and a tailor.
Right.
But I'm seeing couples come in, they're working together, or just men by themselves, and they're actually engaging and wanting to sew, and it's really good.
Yeah. An interesting way to really impact families and well-being. I mean, for you, sewing and really bringing it all together. But these type activities, these type things, really have an opportunity of stabilizing sometimes what is very broken.
That's right. So one of the things that we do with community is create a common language. So a lot of how we do that is through a framework called appreciative inquiry. Right? We can always talk about the Bronx and as a negative topic. We don't. We lift up. We also work with community to elevate their voices. We don't work from a place of there is no hope. We work from a place where there is talent in the neighborhood, there are dreams in the neighborhood. Let's lift up those dreams. So even our instructors who are from the community, we don't work to get people from outside. We develop folks from the community. Right. So even with Chamaine, we had this opportunity to take her skills and create a curriculum.
Yes.
So we created the curriculum together, and that is what she's teaching. So through that, that's the 5-week course that we're offering. But that is one part of the work, right? So we have, yes, we can develop skills. That's great. But it's developing the support that community says that they want and need.
Right.
So we do some coaching, which she can talk about. We also do a celebration of completion of those courses, which
Ceremony.
are huge.
Right.
And so that gives community and the adults in the community an opportunity to really look at things that they wanted to do all along, and no one allowed or gave the space to create that platform to build up those dreams. Yeah. So that's what Appreciative Inquiry does. I mean, it is a framework, but it offers us an opportunity to develop different language and work with each other so that we can continue to build what you want to build, not what I want to build or what I think you may want to build, right?
Yeah.
Because that gets confusing. Tell me what you want. Let me give you the help that you find helpful, and then we will continue to go from there.
Dr. Emily talked a little bit about the coaching component.
Yes.
And I want you to elaborate a little bit on that.
So during the 5-week course, like she said, we built up a curriculum of the steps to take to be able to learn how to sew. And a lot of the students, when they've completed their 5-week, because the courses sometimes might require to make a tote bag, maybe a blouse, pants. So when the 5-week of the course is up, that we have an extra week for coaching for people who felt like maybe they missed something or they needed a little extra work or help with something. So we do that. And then we also have a ceremony when they're actually getting a certificate and they're excited. They also get a micro grant after the end of the course, so they can be able to buy them a sewing machine. Some of them might have a sewing machine but never didn't know how to sew.
Right.
So then they can buy a mannequin or other accessories to learn how to sew or help with their sewing kit. But it's awesome.
I mean, it is. And I think you have a completion ceremony, you say, and then
Yes.
so people have the opportunity to really, go through and have a great celebration.
Feel empowered, know they've accomplished something and completed the actual course that they were interested in doing.
Right.
So it's great.
So all of the sessions, we have obviously the tailor and the seamstress, but we also have now barbershop. We also have a community kitchen. We have a second level to the sewing class. So these are things that community is telling us that they want. So that's why we're bringing it in. But all of the sessions, and also a real fundamental piece to it is, how do you run your business? So there's a class on how you run your business.
Right.
How do you sell? How do you do a pop-up shop? So these things are really important and not always available to our community. But we have it, and it is free to the community. We're not charging anything. And with the micro grant, it is not actual money, but it is items that you will need for your business. So if you have a developing business and your marketing is not necessarily up to par, at least to your standards,
Right.
so we can offer that as an opportunity to build up. So that money can go towards your marketing. Or it could go to a machine, or it could go to hair clippers now that we have our barbershop class. So that micro grant, we're also looking at opportunities where community can see that, yes, you may not be able to get a loan right now, but let's start up your business, and this $200 will be a nice startup.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do we find when we come to Kikis Boutique?
Basically, being that I'm a custom designer, it's more so of what people actually want when they come to me. They show me what they want. And then we have consultations where we can just build. Like right now, I'm in the middle of teaching sewing classes and prom season. So you know how that can go.
Yes.
The girls, the prom girls are like brides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they come to me with their ideas, and I help bring them to life.
Wow. Well, I know 'tis the season, so
Yes.
you got to be up to here with.
Yes.
Yeah. she said yes. The skill sets that people develop are really invaluable, right? I think when you talk about having the opportunity, there's a lot more. So many times, I think we were talking about in this last segment, that people lack skill sets, right? But to be able to walk away with one and then come away enjoying it and then putting it to use and possibly, potentially, having a career out of that, you've seen it happen.
And
So-
bring, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And bring it home.
Right.
Right.
Because a lot of the students that I have, they will learn and then be like, yeah, I can't wait to go home and show my daughter or teach my granddaughter. So that's even exciting in itself. The fact that they can now learn a skill and then implement it at home. It's good. It keeps out of that isolation, right?
Right.
And I would just say, to push our thinking, that skills are there. In the community, what we don't have always is the opportunity to continue to build up those skills. So, we found our amazing teacher, right? She's from the community and she had the skills. We have our business career coach, and he's been in the community for years. He actually developed our logo a long time ago, and now he's running these amazing classes. And so, again, they're there. It's bringing and creating a platform for a community to continue to lift themselves up in a way that they can continue to demonstrate and not feel afraid.
Right.
Because we have a space where it's small enough that we can run several classes, small enough that you can ask those questions and not feel uncomfortable or shame. You can work through your fear. Like even the food handler's license, we have a food handler certificate class. And taking the exam is a little scary.
That
but
book is big.
it gets big. And
She
so,
said big.
yeah, so those fears you can work on through your coaching. You can work one-on-one with a coach. You can work with your group. So again, it's reducing that isolation so you don't feel like you're not going to be able to make it, that you had this dream a long time ago. We're going to help you bring that out, and we're going to help you create that.
Yes.
Yeah, and Chamaine, as a coach, I think one of the things that you bring to the table, you help me with this, is that the ability to help somebody say, listen, you can do this, even though it looks insurmountable, that you walk alongside them
Yes.
to help them get across the finish
So
line.
I'm happy you mentioned that because that's something I did want to speak about, but I was a little nervous today.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's one of the things I stress the most in my course because learning a new skill sometimes can be very tedious, especially when you feel like, oh, I can't get it, forget it. So that's one of the things that I push the most in the class is please do not give up. It's a lot of times where from week 1, they'll be like, I can't get it. And week 5, they're like, I'm a designer.
Right.
So that right there just does everything for me in a sense. But like each time that I'm dealing with a actual student and they're like struggling with a certain thing, sitting down with them and being able to give them that sense of somebody's actually here helping me, wanting me to learn and getting it is a good feeling. And when they get it, it's like, it's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And there's nothing better than as a coach to watch somebody else and the
Yes.
light go on. And for yourself, obviously, the transformation of lives, right? Because that's really what this boils down to. The name of the show is Social Justice, right? And I tell people all the time that that social justice has a variety of different ways that you can really go at it. And when you look at giving people life skills and arming them with resources, that is social justice because there's so many places that don't and don't want you to have. So a word about just, the work that you guys do in that area, because in many ways, like I say, it's justice.
Right. So I so appreciate that you put it in that form because it's the same thing. We started this conversation with regards to the 50 things that we can do and to advance the Bronx, right? And that was the start of the conversation. And I mentioned mental health. And so mental health can take many forms. And justice is one of them, right? That you can go in and you can request what you want. And this is the space that the community has created. So with what we do, it is making sure that community continues to walk alongside with us. And when they tell us, you know what, you don't need to be here anymore, then we need to step aside too, right? So right now they're saying, let's walk along together, let's figure this out together, and let's try to figure out things that are a little bit different. So we're not looking to duplicate any services. We're looking to really have these real conversations with community so that they can tell us, yes, I want that. No, I don't want that. I mean, we don't even say programming when they come into the center. We do offerings. The reason we say offerings is because programming stays a little bit stagnant, right? You can have a program for a bunch of years and still see certain results. But we do offerings because we change with community. So we will have different things happening in the community, and that's where the offerings come in. So like we had the pandemic, we had to, like everybody else, pivot. And we started to do food. So we have hot meals that we offer during the week. We have, on Tuesdays and Fridays, we have 100 hot meals that we offer on Tuesday, 100 hot meals on Friday. So, and then we have produce. We have organic produce that we give on Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken. And that produce is for families because we realized we were working with migrant families who can't cook in their shelter. So we needed to provide for both, for our families who have their homes and those in the shelter. So we were providing for both, and we continue to do that. So this has been going on. The hot meals started about a year and a half ago. The bags of produce have been going on for the last, I want to say, almost 3 years now, since the pandemic. It's been that long.
And we have a meal during each course.
That's right.
Okay. So you're going to eat.
Yes.
You got a skill and a plate.
Right.
And it's food to take home. So we always order so that you don't feel rushed to go home and have to cook. So we have enough food so that you can take home.
Yes.
I mean, we're laughing, but the reality is, you know, food is an attention grabber, particularly with food insecurity the way that we see it across New York City, right?
That's right.
That the amount of people who are hungry, undernourished, the ability to sit, eat, once my stomach is right, I can get over here at Kikis Boutique, but if my stomach's not right, you know, so I think that's it. For yourself, talk to me about going from client to coach. What was that transition like, and what do you feel like you bring to the table?
So I like the transition was pretty easy because I have a passion and a love for doing what I actually do, which is sew. I actually wanted to sew with children, but being that I know it is a little bit more, what's the better word I'm using for, like more
Intricate.
Yeah, because they have scissors and pins. You don't want kids hurting themselves. So, but even with being able to do it with adults, it's like almost the same thing. It's the same feeling because they're just like that in itself when they're learning something new. Every time I'm learning, I'm still learning. Like I get around other designers and I might see them do a technique and I'm like, wow. So for me to even feel that, to be able to give it to my community members and to see them have so much joy from it, it's just great for me. So even when I have my own one-on-one clients, I'm raving about my classes that I teach, and they're like, "What? You got to get me in that class." I'm like, "You have to be with the community."
Right.
But the transition of it is great. I love it. I love being able to do both. I actually have now a brick and mortar near the FEC Center.
Okay.
Big deal.
Really? Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm happy for that. And the building I'm
Tell
actually
the people
in,
the address. Go ahead.
it's 710 Tiffany Street. It's called Inspirational Point because it's in the Hunts Point area. The actual organization, they deal with creatives. So there's other like creatives in the actual building. There's a lot of things going on there. There's theater, photography, dance, and you're able to rent a studio space, of course, to do the work that you like to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm happy.
So, for yourself, what is it like to be in this place of being this entrepreneur, and at the same time, while you're this entrepreneur, you know where you started, right?
Yes.
And now to develop into this entrepreneur, stand on your own, and then be able to give back. What's that like for you?
It's great. I'm always telling my students, even my daughter, I'm a mom, to never give up on anything that you love to do. So the fact that I was able to take my actual craft, it was a hobby, and it became a full-blown business. It's the best feeling ever. The freedom of knowing that I'm doing something that I love and I'm not being pressured to do something that I don't want to do. And then I'm able to teach it to people who are actually willing and wanting to learn it. And then seeing them take off in their own little lanes. Like, it's so amazing when we're at the FEC Center, because the purpose of the course is to learn how to sew. But once they get the gist of how to sew, their creative part comes in, and it's like, oh, I'm going to put this on my bag. I'm going to put this on my shirt. So that alone just excites me, because I'm a creative being. So being able to see that come out of the community members as well, awesome.
Right. Sometimes the value gets missed, right? And I hate to say government, but it is, right? Government, others, because arts and programs are always the first ones to get cut. Not necessarily always recognizing the full value as to what is brought to the table, right? And the lives that are impacted. For yourself, looking at, the lives that are impacted, if somebody said, I want you to make a case for why we should continue to support what you do, what would your answer be?
My answer would be to continue to give to a community that is thriving, right? Not in a deficit. We are continuing to thrive and providing and supporting the community in different forms. So we do the economic, we do the emotional, and we do the family. And in those aspects of the work, we really work at developing a full focus of family support, not just adult support, not just children's support, right? And we are working to continue to engage families in a way that they feel hopeful about their own community. So investing in something like this economic mobility, I look at it as a generational income generator. So if we can continue to generate that income, that dream for community, that is really the best way to continue to engage and grow. So yes, invest in everything, invest in community, invest in the individuals, and invest in continuing to lift up, not just support, but lift up the voices of the communities. Because the other piece that is important in this work is that they do engage in civics. So these are community members that are also members of their local community board. They're also members of their precinct councils. So they're members of their parent schools in the parent groups. So they're engaged in many ways. This is one, and we have several.
And the other part for me, I think, that stands out is that when you have what you do, and it's tremendous, I think there's another takeaway is that doing this work, impacting lives, changing, people don't necessarily, I'm trying to be nice here, but people don't necessarily do this, right? It's and we live in a society right now, I think that's what the point I was really going to. We live in a society right now where we're pretty individualistic, right? I mean, everybody's to their phone, and we're sitting, and we're this, that, and third. You got a great focus on family that really brings things back home that sometimes is not the focus in mainstream society. So your thoughts on just the whole family component, because in what you're doing, you're already engaged in family.
Yes.
Right. So I think I would love to say that we have a wonderful special formula, but I think we went back to a formula that we all had in our community. Knowing the neighbors in our building, right? Knowing, Miss Smith, Doña Petra in the neighborhood, and having her be able to take care of us when mom was not around. And this is what we're developing, because the center closes, right? And when the center closes, then what? So this is an opportunity to continue to rebuild that community and let them know that they know each other. So we've had activities at the center, some offerings at the center, where people have lived in their building for a very long time and didn't meet until they came to the center.
Yes,
Wow.
I did an offering there. So also I customized like Crocs. And we did an offering at the center where we had children and parents come in to do a whole Croc class, which was another great opportunity too for them to now know like, oh, this lady lives in my building or she lives down the block from me. And they're all together making Crocs with their children. So
That's
it.
community building.
That's community building. That's doing what we did a long time ago, and we're now making the effort of doing it again. And I would mention that the work that we do, it stands on the shoulders of a great organization. So you have Graham Windham. So we do have multiple levels of funding to do this work. So going back to your funding question, it doesn't take one funder. It takes multiple funders to actually be able to continue to do this work. So it's been an amazing experience, and we will be going to funders again to continue this work.
Yes.
Right. Well, I definitely want to get people connected. So if people want to come support or do anything, tell them how they can do that.
So they can either go on the Graham Windham website, and it's Graham, Graham Windham, WINDHAM.org, and or Our Place. You can go on Instagram and do Our Place 10474 and find us there.
All right. We want to make sure people get connected. Got to tell them about the boutique before
Yes.
we go. Yes.
So I have a brick and mortar now space, 710 Tiffany Street, and I'm also on social media at official Kiki Boutique, KIKI Boutique, and I have a website at officialkikiboutique.com.
There it is. So you got all of that. So we'll make sure people are connected. And thank you for the great work that goes on at Graham Windham. And we know that you guys are impacting lives. I know about it from years ago. I probably date myself. Out off of Warburton and Yonkers years ago. I used to
Okay.
play at the gym.
Nice.
Yes, don't tell them, we did that. But great work. Continue the great work, Dr. Lopez.
Thank you.
So much.